This is a message to our allies in the white community who stand for good, who don't approve of bigotry, who don't approve of oppression of other people, who don't approve of all of the things that are bad that happen to other people in this country who say are non-white. I want you to try to imagine, wake up this child inside of you and try to imagine what I'm getting ready to say like you're a child. Try to really imagine it. Don't just hear my words and let it gloss over. Imagine that you woke up, almost like a movie, right? Imagine that you woke up and you found yourself in an African country. We'll use Nigeria, not to demonize it or anything. I'm just using it so we use the name of a real country. We won't ask you to go all the way back and imagine that your people got into that country by way of having been formerly slaves. Let's say we've come up forward in time. But you've noticed that everything that goes on in that country that you're in goes against you. You have to do the best just to even be accepted for something less. A person over here can be a C student, can run for president. You can be an A student and can't get a supervisory job at a restaurant, for example. Imagine that some man that you know was pulled over by a Nigerian police officer, and all he said to the officer was, "Yes, officer, I have a licensed handgun." And the African officer starts yelling, "Gun, gun," and just shoots into the car until he kills the man. Imagine all the things that you've seen happen to black people in this country, or any minorities, but I'm speaking for black people as a black man in this country. And imagine that you've lived and your ancestors have lived and those around you have lived with all those things. And all the while, through that history, there have been Africans who have fought, sacrificed their lives to help your people. There are Africans who have, going back to that time when your people were in slavery, there were Africans who did the railroad thing and helped your people get the freedom. Africans who died with your people in bus boycotts. So you know that there are Africans in the country who are allies to you, who are against it. But you also know that not everybody is inclined, let's say, to activism. That most of the time the Africans in the country, even the ones who are good people that don't like being full of hatred, they just live their lives. They don't really have much of a clue of a lot of your real experience. And then when it's time for elections and things like that, the evil Africans are really trying to take over and just do more evil to the country. And the good Africans want the best for the society. And so they're calling upon everybody to vote. They're calling upon you and all of the white people from different walks of life, different countries who are now in African society and considered Africans or Nigerians. They want you to vote. And with all that you experience, those Africans can't understand why you would vote for the other party or not participate in voting at all for the good party, because they don't see the world through your eyes. The Africans don't see the world through your eyes. The Africans that are good haven't paused for a second to think. Every time we have an election, we're the majority. And so the bad Africans, they rig the rules, they gerrymander, they purge people from the votes, they do all kinds of things because they would never have the amount of number of people to win if they didn't do crooked things. But you, in your struggle, you recognize something else that the good Africans take for granted, and that is the reason your numbers are so high over the evil Africans is because we white people vote with you, good Africans. We vote with you. That's where your numbers come from. And the other ethnic groups that are in the society vote with the good Africans. If the good Africans had to run against the bad Africans, vote for vote on their own, they would not win. If the votes and the elections are so close with all of the help that the good Africans have from the other people, where would it be if the good Africans had to vote all by themselves? So living in the society as you do, your question becomes, when is it going to be clear to your African allies that they have to begin to pay more attention to the people who are helping them win? Pay more attention to what's being done to the people that help them win. Pay more attention to the fact that the deliberate acts that the bad Africans are taking against the white people in Africa is to prevent the white people in Africa from being useful and beneficial allies to the good Africans that are there. Are you seeing it in reverse? Are you seeing it? We try to vote. There are white Americans who do various things to impact our vote. You have to use the reality, like, such a thing as blackness and whiteness. You have to use the reality of your being white, that you can count on certain things and help the black, Hispanic, and other people who want to vote, help them with their right to do so. If you know that there's going to be trouble and threats at certain polling places, and you know that it's against non-whites, there's certain things people won't do in front of you. Certain things people won't do in your presence. But at some point, like I said, at some point, we have to start meeting with each other. And even if we go our separate ways with our actions, we should meet with each other so we have different types of strategies. We know which way each other is going. And we do these things to make change. But more significance, more attention has to be paid to the people who are helping those numbers. Thank you for listening.